Next, a warning for people in the South Bay. The odor warning from the Tijuana River Valley will show you how the air is being monitored to protect your health. Plus, it's known as the jungle. What's being done to address this large North County homeless encampment? And later on, battery storage facilities help keep the lights on in California. But when a fire starts, it can burn for weeks. What you need to know about the chemicals that travel through the air. Hello, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Anna Laurel. Here at CBS 8, we're working for you, getting to the bottom of problems you've asked about, and we're looking for solutions. We start with the sewage crisis at the border. This week, the San Diego County Air Pollution Control District issued an odor advisory for communities near the Tijuana River Valley. This comes weeks after the district brought in sensors to measure levels of hydrogen sulfide that cause the rotten egg smell. The advisory recommends limiting outdoor activity and keeping doors and windows closed. CBS 8's Alex Lai is working for you and looked into one of the ways our air quality is being monitored.
One of the monitoring systems is located here at Berry Elementary in Nestor. The data collected updates every hour on this website, showing how much hydrogen sulfide gas is detected in the air.
The recognizable sewage smell in the South Bay is hydrogen sulfide gas. It can cause headaches, lung irritation, nausea, dizziness, vomiting, and is linked to serious long-term health issues.
I don't think that it's healthy.
Raul Pimentel lives in Nestor and is very familiar with the smell.
So this would definitely be helpful for any future research that we have on trying to do something better to make the smell go away.
The website by the county's Air Pollution Control District shows the hydrogen sulfide levels detected in Nestor and San Ysidro.
And so this new dashboard provides historical data for the last week. In addition to that, there's a button, a clock icon that people can click to get hourly data that is updated every hour.
Readings are measured by parts per billion, or ppb, and is divided by an odor advisory system. Green means 0 to 4.9 ppb of gas is detected. There's usually no smell or symptoms. Yellow is 5 to 29.9 ppb, and sensitive groups may notice the smell. Orange is when the ppb hits 30 or higher.
It's a level at which the vast majority of the public will smell the odors, and a large percentage may be bothered by them.
An odor advisory will be sent out to the public with recommendations including staying indoors, closing windows, and using air purifiers. The most extreme level is purple at more than 27,000 ppb, which would require emergency response. In a few weeks, another monitoring system will be placed in Imperial Beach.
We're breathing in those fumes.
Where Heidi used to live.
This is great. I would have loved to see that.
You can find the link to the new website and to sign up for odor advisory alerts at cbs8.com. In Nestor, Alex Lai, CBS 8.
All right, thanks, Alex. The county announced more than 2,100 San Diego County residents responded to a federal assessment of chemical exposures. Now, the survey asks residents, particularly people who work or live near the water from Coronado to Imperial Beach, about the impact of the Tijuana River sewage pollution on their lives. The survey asks about physical and mental health, medical history, as well as pet health. People in Escondido are reaching out to us about encampments along the Escondido creek bed in an area that's known as the jungle. CBS 8's Brian White went out there to take a look. He's working for you to find out what's being done about it.
The encampment is one of the largest I've seen.
This area of Escondido Creek near Citricado Parkway is known as the jungle. I walked down there, I saw a lot of tents hidden back in the trees and some out in the open right alongside the walking path.
Tents, tarps, where it meets the street, you see shopping carts filled with trash everywhere. I've seen homeless people passed out on the side of the road.
These homes back up to the creek. You can see some encampments right here behind the fence. Chris Bouchard lives in a neighborhood neighborhood nearby. He says people from the creek bed are breaking into his cars and stealing things out of the driveway and side yard. These are images from his security cameras.
It's a tough situation. I feel trapped. I feel trapped and unsafe in my own home. It's hard. You know, I have a pregnant wife and a 1.5-year-old kid, and to be able to not walk out your front door feeling comfortable is no way to live.
So I reached out to the mayor of Escondido, Dane White, to get his take.
Wow, it's out of control. You know, undeniably, it is a huge issue that certainly needs to be resolved.
Mayor White says one challenge for a massive job like this is resources. It would come with a $6 million price tag for both the cleanup and to add fencing along the creek. One thing that will help is an added 1-cent sales tax in the city approved by voters that will bring in another 20 to 30 million in revenue for things like this.
I think the average person looks at this and thinks just kick people out, clean it up, and fence it off. Like, what are you waiting for?
He says another hurdle is the environmental process they have to go through. Since the creek is a waterway, they have to follow specific guidelines.
It is going to be a huge lift with multiple agencies and partnerships. But like I said, we are in the process right now of exploring those partnerships and making sure we are doing what we're supposed to through the environmental process to make sure we're not doing anything illegal on our part.
He expects action to be taken sometime early next year. In Escondido, working for you, Brian White, CBS 8.
All right, Brian, thank you. The recommended changes to the San Diego Police Department's pursuit policy are now in the hands of Chief Scott Wall. The proposed changes come after the wake of several deaths, including an SDPD officer. CBS 8's David Godfredson is working for you and spoke with a member of the Commission on Police Practices who's calling for a new policy.
114 John, traffic accident, 5200 Claremont Mesa Boulevard. There are flames.
On August 26th, a San Diego police officer and a 16-year-old driver died in a crash resulting from a high-speed pursuit. The unlicensed driver was speeding.
Keep passing 3 for pursuit, 32 in Ocean View, northbound.
On December 8th, 2 young brothers died in a collision in Mountain View when they were hit by a driver being pursued for a traffic infraction. In the wake of these fatal San Diego police chases, the Commission on Police Practices has now delivered its recommendations to change the pursuit policy to Police Chief Scott Wall.
He assured us that the department will seriously look at and evaluate all of our recommendations.
Doug Case is the vice chair of the commission, which voted earlier this month to restrict the circumstances when officers can engage in high-speed pursuits.
Given the fact that police pursuits are inherently dangerous, they should only occur when there's an imminent threat to public safety.
Pursuits would be restricted for infractions, property offenses, misdemeanors, traffic violations, and nonviolent warrants. There are exceptions. Pursuits would still be allowed if the driver is posing a threat to public safety, including erratic drunk drivers.
If a person is driving recklessly, which I think would be a misdemeanor and not an infraction, it's incumbent upon the officer to evaluate whether they pose an immediate threat.
The recommendations also include the formation of a vehicle pursuit review board, which would issue public reports on SDPD pursuits.
The purpose of it is to learn from the pursuits so that we have a safer environment in the future.
The police chief now has 60 days to respond to those recommendations, but they are just recommendations, and there is no requirement that they be approved. At San Diego Police Headquarters, David Godfredson, CBS 8.
All right, David, thank you. The second phase of repair work is now underway on the Crystal Pier in Pacific Beach. The west end of the pier has been closed to the public since December when it was severely damaged by storms and high surf. Construction crews finished some of the initial repair work earlier this year. The city of San Diego says it's replacing 8 piles that were broken or damaged, as well as broken braces. Now, it's still unclear when the entire project will be done and when the pier will fully reopen. The Crystal Pier Hotel is open, and the contractor has agreed to put up the Christmas tree at the end of the pier. Up next, several local communities pushing back against battery energy storage systems. Local residents concerned about toxic gases and fires. We'll dig into the technology and address some of your questions. Then later on, everything you need to know before buying a Christmas tree. And don't forget, we want to look into issues affecting you and your community. Email us at workingforyou@cbs8.com. We'll be right back. They can catch fire and release deadly flumes. These battery energy storage facilities help support the power grid, but there's risk involved. Now one could be approved in a residential neighborhood. CBS 8's Brian White investigates.
3 fires in a year, one in Valley Center, another in Otay Mesa, and more recently in Escondido at this SDG&E facility where one of 24 battery containers caught fire. It's called thermal runaway, a chemical reaction when lithium-ion batteries overheat.
Once it starts, there's no way to stop it. Really, the fire that's happening inside the battery has to run its course. So that chemical reaction really can't be stopped.
These fires can take days or even weeks to burn out. The one in Escondido lasting 13 hours. The one in Otay, 17 days.
The big concern for us is what's toxic and how far is that going.
San Diego Fire Rescue Battalion Chief Rob Brazendi coordinates responses to these types of fires all over the county. He says they use atmospheric monitoring to check for toxic gases like hydrogen fluoride and hydrogen cyanide, which can be deadly.
You're going to smell that carbon, that soot material that's being burned off from the fire. The question is the toxicity being traveled with it? And that's what we do. We go into the smoke, we take readings from the smoke.
And those readings determine how far out people should evacuate. He says weather plays a huge role in how or where the plume will spread. Temperature, wind, and humidity, all factors.
From our experience, the soot that floats in the air floats way further than any of the toxic gases that's coming from the batteries. So realistically, you're going to smell smoke much further than the toxic particles can travel.
But that does little to calm the nerves of people living in the Eden Valley neighborhood near Escondido, where the developer AES is looking to build a 320 megawatt energy storage plant, the 3rd largest in California.
It's ridiculous to put this toxic bomb in this valley. If you look around the valley, it's a small valley. It's surrounded by homes.
Not only that, the 22-acre site would be 1,600 feet upwind from Palomar Hospital.
The risks of battery projects are very real.
Joe Rowley lives in Escondido. He's a former Sempra Gas and Power executive. He works with the Stop Seguro group, pushing back against the project.
The Seguro project is the poster child for where not to put a large-scale battery project. It's too close to residences, it's too close to a hospital, it's too big.
Battery energy storage systems, or BESS facilities, are typically located in industrial zones. AES chose this site here in part because of its proximity to SDG&E's Escondido substation, where they would tie into the power grid.
I think it's something that instills fear in all of the residents here. Our biggest concern is the fact that these lithium-ion batteries light on fire. And once they light on fire, they're emitting toxic gases.
The proposed Seguro site is actually in unincorporated San Diego County, so the Board of Supervisors will make the decision.
It's vital that we protect the health and safety of residents. I think that's non-negotiable.
In September, the county opted not to pass a moratorium, but they did hire a consultant, Jensen Hughes, to make recommendations. On November 13th, the engineering firm released a 95-page report on safety standards. But what it didn't have was a residential buffer distance, and that has people worried.
The report is disappointing, but does not define the distances that these projects need to be separated from residences.
To see the technology firsthand, I toured one of SDG&E's energy storage sites in Kearney Mesa. It was built 3 years ago.
The glycol system really feeds each of these units to make sure they stay at a nice ambient 72 degrees, which that's what batteries really like.
Fernando Valero is director of the Advanced Clean Technology Group at SDG&E. He says battery sites like this one are crucial for storing energy from solar and wind, then making it available during peak hours.
You know, even though this is a 40 megawatt hour facility, this is effectively somewhere around, 600, 700 Teslas, right, that are soaking up those excess renewables and then putting them back on the grid grid.
The extra storage capacity from these BESS systems has dramatically improved reliability of the grid, helping to avoid rolling brownouts. I asked Fernando about safety measures.
You'll see up here you have the smoke detectors, temperature detectors, which detect any high elevated temperatures within the cube. You also see leak detector that would detect any leaks that come from the glycol system.
As local cities and the county struggle to catch up on regulations, people near proposed sites like Seguro remain on edge.
The technology is still evolving. The fire suppression, fire detection systems are still evolving. Everything about this industry is new and it's changing rapidly.
The County Board of Supervisors will take up this issue again in December, and we'll be staying on top of this story. Brian White, CBS 8.
All right, Brian, thank you for that. Do you know the difference between Douglas and a noble fir? Well, coming up, we're going to show you everything you need to know before you buy a Christmas tree. As holiday shoppers hit the tree lights, you might be wondering which Christmas tree is right for you and your budget. CBS 8's Abby Black is working for you and breaks down the details about real trees.
Many families are getting ready to flock to the tree lots. You'll notice that you have some options: a flock tree, the ever so popular Douglas fir, or my personal favorite, the noble fir. You have many options, but you might see that there are fewer types of trees out there. We're working for you on what you need to know before you pick out your pine.
It's beginning to smell a lot like pine.
Today we have Douglas firs and noble firs.
At Carmana's tree lot in Chula Vista, manager Juan Casas tells me something interesting. Tree suppliers are more limited this year.
The suppliers of trees that we've had before have dropped a lot, and most suppliers mostly carry Douglas fir and noble firs.
So let's go over some things and compare the two trees. Also their prices at a family tree lot versus big retailers, how tall of a tree you should get, and how to keep them looking fresh.
Depends on how you decorate it and what your taste is.
If you're looking for budget-friendly and bushy, the Douglas fir might be your go-to. It's the most common tree, and prices are holding steady from last year. The catch, these branches are not great for heavy ornament collections.
And they're pretty much the same price as last year, but they're less pricey because they're a little bit harder to hang ornaments on them.
We'll get to price in a moment. Now, if you're an ornament enthusiast, the noble fir is your star. With sturdier branches, these trees, often called the Cadillac of Christmas trees, can handle more decorations. They're pricier, but oh so fragrant.
So this is like a bushier noble, and some people prefer like the sparse looking one like this where you can see the trunk, more old-fashioned.
Let's talk money. I compared prices at Carmana's and big retailers like Home Depot. You're looking at Douglas firs can range from $42 to $69. Noble firs, $67 to $119.
The taller they are, obviously the pricier they are.
Now, how do you pick the perfect size? Measure your ceiling and subtract 1 foot to 1.5 feet for the stand and topper.
How much space do you want to take up?
Forget what you've heard about sugar water or aspirin. There's no scientific proof they keep trees fresh. The real secret? Plenty of water. These trees can drink up to 1 quart of water daily for each inch of trunk diameter.
Wherever you buy your tree, it should have a fresh cut on the bottom, so it soaks up more water.
Working for you in Chula Vista, Abby Black, CBS 8.
A survey from the personal finance site Bankrate finds 43% of Americans have unused gift cards, gift vouchers, or store credit that adds up to an average of $244. Bankrate senior industry analyst Ted Rossman says it's not just the recipient's fault that they're not being used.
Thought into the store or restaurant that you're giving. Pick a place that your recipient likes. The gift card can be targeted. You just have to put some thought into what you're giving.
Now, if you don't want to use a gift card because you don't like the store, there are plenty of websites that will offer cash for them. One is Card Cash, and it pays around 80% of the gift card's value. That's going to do it for us. Remember, if there's something you'd like us to look into, email us at workingforyou@cbs8.com. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.